Hey, everybody.
Happy Tuesday.
Welcome back to our show, Tuesday Talks.
My name is Julia Day.
And my name is Megan Cosman, and we are both victim advocates at North Star Advocacy Center. So today, actually, we should just start with the personality quiz that we took for this week. So we took something similar to the Myers-Briggs personality test. It was just the 16 personality test. It's the free one. So that's the one we took. So I am INFJ. And so when I first took the personality test a few years ago, it actually came up as that's called the advocate, but then I've also seen it called the counselor too. So this particular one I pulled up, it says the counselor, but I kind of thought it was cool because in mine originally it said the advocate. But so INFJ, what are they like? So that stands for introvert. That's very much true. Intuitive, feeling, and judging. So the introverts are quiet, reserved, self-sufficient, socializing drains their energy, comfortable being alone, processes through internally, needs time alone to recharge. So that's definitely me. Intuitive, so imaginative, creative, and introspective. Trust gut instincts, just kind of paraphrasing now. Feelings, so uses personal values, feelings, and subjective criteria to make decisions, ruled by the heart, and then motivated by appreciation and prefers to avoid arguments or conflicts. But then there's judging, which I kind of feel like those two are, kind of funny when they're side by side. So organized, strategic, and disciplined, responsible with strong work ethic, likes checklist schedules. I'm not so sure about that one, honestly. There's a lot. I don't know. I guess it depends on who you ask if I'm organized or not. But I think somewhat, but I'm not sure if that fits that one to a T. But so common INFJ traits. So passionate about ideas, warming, caring, tactful, helpful, sensitive, cautious. Can read and understand other people. That's a big one, I think, that a lot of INFJs consistently say. Trust gut feelings, likes organizing and creating systems, are visionaries who always try to make sense of life. So that's just kind of a little bit about the INFJ. That's what I got. I do pretty well identify with this one. I like this one probably the best out of the ones that we've taken so far on our show. Hey, Julie, what did you get?
I got INFP.
So you're the idealist.
Nice.
So you are an introvert, intuitive, feeling. So all those three things that I just read, do you kind of identify with those three things?
I would say so. Yeah, I definitely get my energy away from people. So I agree with the introverted side.
And then our last letters are different. So I was a J, you were a P, you were perceiving.
Yeah, so the P is like opposite of the J, where the J is more kind of structured or has a plan, or meticulous or pays attention to detail, things like that. Whereas perceiving is just kind of spontaneous, flexible, keeps the options open, is adaptable, um, and go with the flow, which I agree with all of those. Yeah, especially just reflecting back onto college. I definitely didn't plan out a lot of things. I just kind of went with it as it came at me. I was more reactive than proactive, which isn't a bad life to live. And I'd say at the shelter, I think that serves me well, as you can't plan what type of crisis will happen as you're working as a victim advocate at the shelter. So you just kind of got to roll with the punches. So I like that. And I really don't like being anywhere particularly on time. I like a few minutes after the time is set to be there.
What about these traits?
Yeah, I definitely strive to make this world a better place because nowhere is perfect in this world. Even in our own country, there's so many people living without opportunities, without food or water, or even safe places to live. So, like in our profession, helping people out of abusive situations. So I I'd say that really strives a lot of what I do. And I think number 6 is funny. I don't know if I'm controlling. Maybe someone else should answer that for me. But I would say that, yeah, I am a mediator and I do like to avoid conflict as much as I can. But yeah, so you guys watching this, if you've taken this or if you want to take this, take the free one. We'll put a link in our show notes here, but you should definitely comment on this video and say which one you are, because it's just fun learning about everyone's personalities and how we all fit together.
Yeah. Okay, well, today we are going to be doing a special episode in honor of Memorial Day. And we thought we would share some history that people might not know about Memorial Day. So, according to History.com, the History Channel, Memorial Day is an American holiday celebrated on the last Monday of May, honoring men and women who died while serving in the U.S. military. So early observances of Memorial Day, I thought this was really interesting. The Civil War ended in the spring of 1865, and a lot of people died. And so that's why it was established to honor them and to remember them and to go and decorate their graves. In the late 1860s, Americans in various towns and cities began holding springtime tributes to these countless fallen soldiers, and they recited prayers and brought things to their grave and decorated them just in honor of what they did for their country. So originally it was called Decoration Day, and on May 5th, 1868, General John A. Logan, leader of an organization for the Northern Civil War veterans, called for a nationwide day of remembrance later that month. So originally when this first started and back when it was called Decoration Day, it was on May 30th. And that's it had a specific date every single year. Whereas now it's just known as on the last Monday in the month of May. And now is Memorial Day. I thought it was interesting that the date of Decoration Day, as General Logan called it, was chosen because it wasn't the anniversary of any particular battle. So that tells me that it was really meant to be in remembrance of all who fell during the Civil War.
Yeah, that is really interesting.
And so later on, as it became known as Memorial Day, the United States found itself embroiled in another major conflict, and the holiday evolved to commemorate American military personnel who died in all wars. So no longer just the Civil War, so that would include World War II, the Vietnam War, the Korean War, and wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. So yeah, that was just really interesting history that I wasn't familiar with all of that for Memorial Day. So yeah, we thought we wanted to share that before we bring in our guests.
Yeah, I think it's so great that you showed us the history behind Memorial Day, because I think just with it being a holiday, a lot of people forget the actual meaning and the importance of that and the sacrifice, and even just how solemn of a day it can be as well. Because people would get time off work, and that's a day where a lot of people would celebrate having more time with their families, which all of those things are good, but sometimes we do forget the importance of why we have this day off, why we need to take a moment of silence or just even reflection about the severity of the sacrifice in the military and those who gave their lives for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Good reminder. Well, I think that our personality quizzes have a lot to do with what we're going to be talking about today and the guests that we particularly are inviting on the show. Because so Julia, you and I have similar ones because we're both INF, but then the last one is different. But I think there's just a lot of similarities, and I don't think it's a coincidence that we both kind of got these personalities of wanting to help people. That is certainly what our two guests that we're going to bring on the show today also have so much reflected upon them too, because they're very much helpers. You might know them. They are two of our coworkers. So you might have seen them here in our community, or maybe when you come in to our shelter or come over and visited us, you might know them as a victim advocate. But what you might not know is that one of them has served in the military, in the Marine Corps, and the other one is currently serving in the National Guard. And so with that, we are going to go ahead and bring in two of our coworkers. Hey guys. Thanks for coming on our show today.
Yeah, no problem.
So we're going to have you guys start off by introducing yourself. First, Janine, can you just introduce yourself? Tell us who you are, what military branch you served, what your military occupation specialty, and what your job title is currently. And then I'm tacking another one on there. And why did you decide to go into the Marines?
Okay, thanks Julia and Megan for having me on. I am Janine Montgomery, and I served in the Marine Corps. I was an avionics technician. I worked on electronic equipment on the C-130 aircraft, and I am now a victim advocate for North Star Advocacy Center in Maryville, Missouri. Why did I join the military? Well, kind of a long story, but I'll make it as short as I can. At the actual time of joining, I was looking to get my master's through the military. So that was really the first initial thought. But after I got out, I have said many times that everybody should go through boot camp. With that said, though, it really made me appreciate the little things in life, and it gives you a deep respect for the discipline and working as a team. But it's just something that you can't explain until you go through it, and it really does grow you as a person. But why I joined, I am an adventure seeker. For those that know me well, you kind of know that. So what more adventurous than joining the Marine Corps, right? That was kind of one thing. It was just something different to do. There was a shock value involved. I probably was trying to do as to my family and friends. No one I knew would have dreamed that I would go into the Marines. When I walked into the recruiting office, it was mostly curiosity that drove me. I just wanted to see what they had to offer and what they'd say. I was recently graduated from college, and I hadn't got a job yet. So I thought, hey, maybe I can get my master's, through the Marine Corps, and at the same time get paid for it, and they pay for it. So when I walked in the door, the recruiter, well, I'll just say this: recruiters are trained very well. They had me when I walked in the door. Little did I know. He wasn't going to let me leave until my name was signed on that commitment paper. When I walked out, I wondered, what the heck did I just do? But I was so fond of my recruiter that we actually invited him to our wedding. And he actually came. Now that's an outstanding recruiter. So really, that's the short of it. It was a fluke, but then in hindsight, I'm glad I joined. And then after being in the military, I'm glad I joined because I did support my country. And I saw how important that was when I got in. That wasn't my initial, a lot of people say, oh, I wanted to, serve my country. And that wasn't my initial thought. But in the end, I was glad I did.
Awesome, Janine. Thanks for sharing all that. So as a victim advocate now, what do you do?
Well, the generic answer is I support victims of sexual and domestic violence. I offer emotional support, victims' rights information, help in finding needed resources, and help them fill out crime victim related forms like order of protection. But to put a more personal description on it, I am there when they need me. I listen, I believe, and I empathize with them. I give them, through our services, financial, emotional, and physical support. On a given day, I may take a client to the pharmacy to get medication. I may help them move into their new home. I may be on the phone calling to get documents for important documents like social security cards or birth certificates. Every day is different and has its own challenges, not unlike being in the military. We take one day at a time, and we often tell our clients the same thing. To relate it to Memorial Day, all clients can be thankful for their freedoms that so many veterans have died for, and we often take for granted, like having your day in court, going to church services, protesting, voting, traveling and relocating to other states, getting help from the government when needed. They come at a great price, and many have died for them. When a person is on the front line of a military conflict, they have no choice but to fight and to do what they have to stay alive. I would also like to send that message to anyone that may be a victim of domestic or sexual violence. Fight for your right to be free from abuse. Vote on legislation that promotes victims' rights. Seek help, flee your abuser, and stay safe. We at North Star are here for you when you need us.
Thanks, Janine.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Chelsea, can you please introduce yourself and tell us who you are, what you do, what your MOS is, and what job titles, more than one, that you currently have?
Yes. First of all, I just want to say thank you for having me here. I was really honored that you guys thought of me. But yes, so I am Chelsea Clark. I own Estrella Consulting, a workplace sexual harassment consulting firm. I'm also a first lieutenant in the Missouri Army National Guard right here in Maryville. So my job title with that is Field Medical Assistant, which really just means I'm in charge of combat medics. I am also a on-call victim advocate with you guys there at North Star.
And why did you choose to serve in the military?
Yes, so both of my parents were actually in the Army. So I've really grown up in the military lifestyle. I mean, I was even born in Germany because of it. So my entire life has been surrounded by the military. More specifically to when I joined, very similar story to Janine. I just went to go see how the different services could help me, and the very first recruiter I talked to was Sergeant Finney, who's very well known around here for being an excellent recruiter. I mean, it was just first time I walked into his office, that was it. And I joined the National Guard to help out with college, and really I just knew I was gonna join one of the branches. It was always gonna be a part of my life. And so now I'm in, I expect to be in for a very long time, and I just really love the Army and love being a soldier.
Cool. Can you describe what being an on-call staff is through our organization?
Yes, so I'm really, I mean, just like it says right in the title, I am on call for, especially overnight, if a client comes in because they need to get safe, right now, or they've been at shelter for a little bit, need someone to be with them overnight. I come there and I really meet the client where they're at that night. If they want to sit down and just watch Netflix all night and we just hang out, talk about their life, great, that's what I do. If they want to sit down at dinner and cook with me and then just talk about everything that's been going on and just unload, then I mean, I can do that for them too. So I'm really there to just be with them, meet the client where they're at, and advocate for them to you guys, outside of kind of normal working hours.
And what do you do as a consultant for your business?
Yes. So as a consultant, I work specifically with small business owners. Ignoring or mishandling sexual harassment in the workplace can cost an average of $75,000 out of court, and then double that in court just in legal fees alone. Plus, the damage to a business's reputation can't truly be quantified. So small businesses, they cannot afford such a hefty sexual harassment lawsuit. They just can't afford it. So I come in and I work specifically with small businesses, with the employers, the leaders, to avoid that pricey lawsuit later by doing a little bit of prevention work now.
That's awesome. Thanks, Chelsea.
Yes.
We're going to ask similar questions to all of you. So Janine, I'm going to start with you. Do you feel that your time in the military, even if it was unbeknownst at the time, helped prepare you for the advocacy position that you have now? If so, how?
Well, that's a good question, Julia. I think anybody in any job can learn things that can be helpful in advocacy. In the military, you work alongside a lot of different people, all genders, races, personalities, backgrounds. As an advocate, that is also the case, as well as learning patience and tolerance. You're in the military, you're trained to be a team. If you fail, your team fails. You have each other's back, always. You cannot succeed without that team mentality. There's no room for individuality. So in that sense, you are an advocate for all your team members. And you help them, watch their back, support them, and would die for them if needed. We didn't see color or race or individual traits. We were all Marines. We were all being trained and prepared for the same thing. But in the end, it was only one thing that mattered: our love for our country. So being an advocate here at North Star is very similar. Our staff is the team, and our clients are the mission. We help all people in crisis, and we support each other on staff to complete that mission. We have each other's back always. Without that trust and care, the mission would fail. That sense of camaraderie is present and in the workplace. We focus on common goals. One of them being helping those in need. Only one thing matters: our love for doing the right thing and helping those that need us during a time when in their life when they may feel all alone.
Yeah, well said, Janine. Thank you.
So now, Chelsea, you're currently a victim advocate as well in the National Guard. Are there things that being an advocate in the National Guard has taught you that you can apply to advocacy at our shelter? And then in your case, vice versa, has there been anything about being a victim advocate / on-call staff at our organization has helped you with being a victim advocate in the military? And then similar to Janine's question, do you find any similarities of just being in the military in general, similar to the victim advocate world?
Great question. I would have to say the best thing that the Army has taught me is to be flexible. The plan changes all the time. We expect it to change. And so very similar to working with clients, none of them are the same. And there's no cookie cutter client. And so you have to be flexible with them in order to be successful and to help the client where they're at. And then on the flip side, coming over here to North Star has really opened my eyes to very unique challenges of helping people in rural communities. I come from Kansas City, where I have many years working as a case manager in an area with a wealth of resources. But up here, in order to help a client to the best of our abilities, you have to get a lot more creative. And so that has been applicable to clients and to soldiers who live in the area. And then similarities, really just nothing ever goes according to plan. You prepare as perfectly as you can on paper, but when it's time to execute, it's not gonna be the same. So it's that way in the military, and it's that way with working with clients. And that's totally okay, because that's life and that's human.
Thanks, Chelsea. So both of you have done or are doing tremendous service to our country. So we really do thank you for your service, for what you've done. Would there be anything that you would like to say to viewers who might be veterans or who have who are active duty or who have family members who might have lost somebody that was in the military? What would your message be to them? Janine, we'll start with you.
Okay. Thanks, Megan. Because Memorial Day is, well, historically, like you had commented early, talked a little bit about the history of it, it's a very important day. And it really is to honor those that have died while in the military service. So I would like to send a message out to the Gold Star families, those families that have lost loved ones while serving in the military. I will do my best to remember the sacrifice of your loved one. To remember that freedom is not free and that millions of veterans have died and paid the ultimate price for our nation and the freedoms that we so cherish. As a family member that lost someone, you sacrificed too. But you should always be proud of your hero who chose to give his or her life for something bigger than oneself. So thank you.
Thank you, Janine.
Yeah.
And Chelsea, what would your personal message be?
My message is specifically to survivors of domestic and sexual violence at the hands of the military system that they should have been able to trust. The military is changing. It's getting better. But for those of you who have already suffered, you are not alone. There are people who believe you and who will support you. And those people are at North Star.
Thank you, Chelsea. Well, that's about all we have time for today. Again, we just want to say thank you all for coming on our show in honor of Memorial Day. We sincerely thank Janine and Chelsea, both of you, for your service for our country and for the sacrifices that you guys have made for us and for our clients and for our whole country. So thank you.
And on behalf of North Star, we'd like to tell all of the viewers who, again, have had family members who are in the military and who may have lost their lives, or who are veterans or who are active duty right now, thank you for your service, and we honor you on this Memorial Day. To receive services or to learn more about Estrella Consulting, visit Chelsea's website at www.estrellaconsultant.com or go like her page on Facebook at facebook.com/Estrella Consulting. North Star is still providing services. Please call us on our 24-hour hotline at 660-562-2320. Add us on social media accounts. We have Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and you can go check out our website at www.northstarac.org.